Gold is soaring on the back of a dovish Fed, and investors, for the first time in many years, are really, really excited. So is now finally the time to be stockpiling God's money, as our guest today, Robert Kiyosaki, calls it. Robert, as many of you know, is the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and his latest book, Fake Money, Fake Teachers, Fake Assets. And he joins me now. Robert, good to have you back. What a day to have you on.
I know, it's amazing. Good timing.
Good timing.
Yeah.
Gold having...
I talked to you earlier, but the thing I want to say to all viewers is I absolutely love your app. Your Kitco app is the best.
Thank you, Robert.
You updated it, and I live on that thing. It's so good.
And
that's how I keep up to date what's going on in the world. So thank you for your fantastic app.
And that is an unsolicited plug, by the way, Robert. Thank you so much.
I really do love it because I get so tired of all the other financial news outlets. I'm not getting what I want. So Kitco is just cuts to the chase, gives me the information I'm looking for. So thanks for doing a great job there.
Thank you, Robert. Well, let's talk gold now. Having not just quite the day, but quite the month. You've been bullish, obviously, for a long time. But what do you think is driving it here right now? Where do we start?
Well, obviously, when they reportedly attack an oil tanker and all that stuff, and Trump rattling his saber, and China and all the uncertainty in the world, naturally it spooks people. Plus the bond yields have dropped. The stock market is going to crash because it's in a bubble. So a lot of people are looking for alternative answers. And, I've been on as I wrote about in Fake, my latest book, I've been on the gold standard since 1972. So I've gone through heaven and hell with gold and silver. And now I look like a genius.
Looking like a genius indeed, Robert. So we've spoken often. Like you said, you're expecting the stock market to come down. What do you make of the Fed's move yesterday, though? Were you surprised that they didn't get pressured by the president?
I'm not surprised at anything today, and I really don't understand why people watch the Fed so much. Do you know what I mean? They're the problem. The Fed is the problem.
Right.
And they've torn apart the whole financial system. I mean, they're actually a criminal operation as far as I'm concerned. They have 1,000 guys from MIT, Harvard, and Stanford who are, let's say, economists. But what do economists know about money? What do they know about the economy? So that's why I don't know why people watch them so much. I just kind of watch what's going on in the world events, and I make my judgments off of that.
Yeah, well, people watch to see obviously the steps they take and see the impact it's having on assets like gold today, reacting to that news and to the fact that they're now pricing at 100% rate cut come July.
I understand, but as I wrote about it in Fake, gold is God's money. The government money is fiat currency, the dollar, the yen, the euro. And then now we have people's money called crypto. So the Fed is under a lot of pressure because they're the real fakes. The Fed has destroyed the monetary system of the world along with its central banks. It has manipulated the market. In my opinion, they went criminal once they started just pumping, working for basically Wall Street.
Yeah.
So when I watch Wall Street, I watch the price of stocks and I watch what the Fed is doing. I just get nauseous. I just buy more gold.
You mentioned the cryptocurrencies, and I know you've compared them to, a Ferrari in the past, where you love Ferraris, but you wouldn't necessarily be a mechanic on the Ferrari, for example. But what do you make of, the Facebooks entering this ground now here?
Well, if it was only Facebook, that would be good. But I think why in Fake I called cyber currency people's money is because in a little while, all of us can print our own. That's why we have ICOs, initial coin offerings, and the whole money market system is coming apart. And it's because the Fed is a criminal operation. They're smart people, but they're economists, 1,000 economists. I was asked by CNBC what I thought of artificial intelligence. And I asked for clarification. I said, when you say artificial intelligence, are you talking about the Fed? Because they're not smart people. They don't know what's going. They live in their own little bubble,
Right.
and they're out of touch with what's going on on Main Street.
So if it were,
So, in my opinion, the Fed is simply an instrument of Wall Street.
so if it were up to you, there'd be no Fed, Robert.
I don't know about that. I just play it day by day today. I don't like to talk about things I can't control. What I can control is the amount of gold and silver I purchase, and also where I store it. I don't store it in banks. So I'm completely outside the banking system, except I do go to the banking system to borrow money. I don't save money inside the banking system. So my recommendation, much like my friend Jim Rickards, is we say you better be able to operate outside the banking system. Because in case something, heaven forbid, happens, like a black swan goofy event, and they shut the banks down, which they do at times, or there's a cyber attack on the banks, can you or your business operate outside the banking system? And that's how pessimistic I am. But I'm also an optimist, so I'm prepared for whatever happens. And that's been my stance since I wrote Rich Dad 23 years ago.
Yes. And Robert, as we inch closer to that 1400 mark, would you be accumulating more gold here?
Probably not. I've already accumulated lots. I love it when the price was down. I was in heaven just before 2000 when the Fed finally blew the top off the dot-com market. So right now I'm still buying, but I buy every time it goes down, just like they recommend. So right now it's on a tear. Last 2 weeks ago, I was Santa Claus to all my gold dealers.
Robert, you mentioned Jim Rickards. He's a good friend of ours here at the show. You have a new book. Can I talk about it? That you're co-writing or co-wrote with him called The Ravens, coming out next year, right?
Jim's a fabulous guy. I mean, one of the blessings of my work, and I have a Rich Dad radio show, and Jim and I announced yesterday on the Rich Dad radio show that we're co-writing, co-authoring The Ravens. And it's about, the raven is the symbol of prophecy. And so it's about how to predict, how to prosper, and how to prepare for the future that's coming. So that's what The Ravens is about. His raven was Felix Summery, the Raven of Zurich. And mine was Dr. R. Buckminster Fuller, one of the greatest futurists we ever had. So our intent with the Ravens is to teach people how to at least see the future. And Jim spends a lot of time on my show, the Rich Dad radio show, talking about how the Fed and most academic elites use equilibrium theory versus Bayesian theory. And Bayesian theory is, I went to military school and I flew for the Marine Corps. And we use Bayesian. Military guys have to use Bayesian. We cannot use historical equilibrium models to forecast the future. So that's why the Fed is always behind the 8 ball. They have been wrong 9 out of 10 times. They're always a lagging indicator, not a leading indicator. So that's why I start this program. I don't know why people listen to them. They're a criminal. They're basically a criminal operation working for Wall Street.
Always a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for joining us.
Again, I suggest everybody watch Kitco, get the app. Your news service is fantastic. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate that. And thank you for watching the special edition of Kitco News.